Hello friends, I'm Angela Mack. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hello, I'm Angela. If you're old here, hello, I love you. I recently watched Pulp Fiction for the second time. I watched it once before with my mom, which was interesting. And I watched it just recently, literally just last night with Michael. And let me tell y'all, it just got better. It's like fine wine. The more you let it sit there and just soak in time, it only got better. And there are things about this movie that I want to discuss with y'all, have discourse about. So I tell y'all what I really liked, and then you can tell me maybe in the comments, in my DMs, however you prefer, what you like about it or what you dislike about it, and we can just have that convo and vibe together. Now, Pulp Fiction, for those who are unfamiliar, is a film directed by the great Quentin Tarantino. It stars Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, Uma Thurman, along with a bunch of other beautiful actors and actresses scattered around the film. Pulp Fiction came out in 1994 and it runs about 2.5 hours long, and it was also produced on a budget of about 9.5 million. For some added context for y'all, those are some little tidbits. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the film, we follow these two main characters, Jules and Vincent Vega. Jules, played by Samuel L. Jackson, Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta. And these two men are kind of like a tag team. They work together for Marcellus Wallace, a man who is a bit scary, a very scary man, and they kind of do his dirty work. Take that as you will. It is illegal, but take that as you want to take it. And so we follow these two men in their own ways, together and separately, and kind of see how things take them. Now, I can't really go any further into the movie and give you a synopsis because I will end up spoiling it and giving too much information. So go watch it if you want to really see and get into everything that I'm going to be talking about. But essentially, we follow these two men and their journey in 2.5 hours worth of just crazy shit that goes down and transpires, which is truly something you can't predict and is not what you're expecting if you've never seen this movie. Now, when it comes to movie reviews, I think of immediately off the top of my head a few things that really catch my eye when watching a movie. And that is acting, of course, cinematography, pacing, and a couple other things that I'll talk about in the video. So first things first, acting. As I've addressed in my other movie-related videos, have an affinity for acting. I think when an actor or an actress truly pursues their role and does a great job in doing so, I just can't get over it, and it's just so good. The perfect example for this is Samuel L. Jackson. In Pulp Fiction, I think Samuel L. Jackson gives one of his best performances, in my opinion, and he was Oscar nominated, so apparently the Academy thinks so too. I think the best way for me to explain to y'all this man's acting in this movie is for me to just show you and take you on a little story. So right now, let's do a little scene change and I'll show y'all what I mean. Hey guys, so yeah, I'm driving. I'm being safe, I promise. Eyes are on the road. So if you're unaware with the movie, there's a part where Samuel Jackson's character, his name's Jules, and Vincent Vega, who's played by John Travolta, them two are like a tag team. They go into this apartment because their boss is having a situation with these people, and so they're gonna go confront those people. And so they go, and Jules, so Samuel L. Jackson's character, is just the best. I mean, he's literally iconic. You've seen him, his Jerry curl, everything is just on point. And he goes in there and he looks at Brett, the guy that he's having a problem with, and he says, "What does Marcellus Wallace look like?" And Brett is like easily freaked out because he just shot a guy, and so he's like does not know what the hell is going on, which just makes this 10 times better. After he says, "What does Marcellus Wallace look like?" Brett, clearly disheveled, is like, "What?" And Samuel Jackson throws the table across the room and says, "What country are you from?" And Brett says, "What?" And Samuel Jackson and Jules says, "What ain't no country I ever heard of." they speak English and what? Because he's trying to get across to him. And Brett says, what? Because he's still beside himself. This man is literally about to die. And Jules says, say what again? Say what one more goddamn time? Essentially, Jules is just trying to get this man to tell him what Marcellus Wallace looks like. So Brett finally caves and he's like, he's black, right? Yeah, he's like freaking out. And Jules is like, go on. And Brett's like, he's bald. You know, he's like sweating profusely. He's like about to die. And Jules is like, does he look? No. I need to give this justice because, y'all, this is my favorite line in the entire effing movie because it's so good. Jules looks at him after he says that he's bald, after Brett says that Marcellus Wallace is bald. And Jules looks at him and he says, does he look like a bitch? And Brett is looking at him and clearly he's mortified because he's like, what the fuck is this man talking about? And he says, what? And Jules shoots him in the shoulder. Okay, you know, that happens. Brett just got shot, so clearly he's freaking out a bit. And Jules says again, does he look like a bitch? And Brett says, no! And Jules is like, then why'd you fuck him like a bitch, Brett? And oh my God, when I tell y'all, I literally can watch that scene over and over and over again. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to pop in here and tell y'all that because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Now, hopefully in those few minutes, I was able to show you really just how amazing that man is and how my heart literally beats for him in this movie. Aside from his role, Uma Thurman does a great job as Mia Wallace. I mean, this is like her crazy role that everybody knows about and everybody talks about. I mean, she's on the poster, for Christ's sake. And so there's no lack of talent there. And John Travolta, honestly, I don't even really watch a lot of John Travolta films at all to begin with. And I mean, he's in Grease, so period. But him in this movie, great. He did a great job. Everybody in the cast did such a great job. And the acting is automatically like my number one thing that I realized in a movie. Easily. So well done. The casting, so good. Now, as for the cinematography, the visuals of the film, this movie only took $9.5 million. That was the budget. Now, of course, that's a lot of money. I'm not gonna act like that's nothing, but in movie terms, that's really not crazy. Considering a movie like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, also directed by Quentin Tarantino, was about $95 million. That's the budget that they made for that one. And so you can see the two differences in the budgets, but they're both such great films, and Pulp Fiction really goes the extra mile in, you know, realness and rawness. So it's not as like technical or as visually like advanced as something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it's a 90s film. What do you expect? And they still do such a great job at how he uses the camera, Quentin and all these other producers and videographers. It's a really, really nice film. And I really like how some of the layout seems old and vintagey. It kind of plays into the whole vibe of, you know, mobster type thing. So really into that as well. As for the pacing, which is how the movie kind of transpires and how they put scene to scene, how they kind of lay that out. This is an interesting one because I can understand why some people might not be into how he lays out his films. A lot of them are non-linear. That's kind of his whole vibe. I'm kind of into it. You go back and forth. You start at one place, but really you're starting at the end, and then the end is really the beginning. And so a lot of people, it's easy to get confused. It's definitely not a film where you can just hop in midway, kind of get a glance at what's happening, and then finish the film and know exactly what you just saw. Definitely not that, but if you watch from the beginning to end, it all just makes sense. You put it together. It's like nirvana. It's like an ethereal feeling. As for the plot, which is a very big role in the movie, that kind of is what brings you in to begin with. I think this, in terms of Quentin Tarantino films, is very on par. Like, this reminds me plot-wise and how he kind of sequences things a lot of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's no necessarily specific, like, there's a plot. There definitely is a plot there in the movie, but it's not so specific to where you're like, oh, this is exactly what the movie is about, and this is exactly how it transpires, and this is exactly how things happen. It's more of just kind of enjoying the film and enjoying the ride and just seeing all the crazy shit that happens in the movie. And I'm kind of into that. I know a lot of people get a little antsy about it because they're like, what even happened? Like, there's no plot. This movie doesn't even mean anything. And at the end of it, like, it's just fun. It's just enjoyable to watch. I mean, some scenes are not enjoyable to watch, I'll tell you that, but it's exciting to see everything transpire, and it just kind of keeps you in, even though there's no like hardcore plot. So regardless, I think it does really well, and I think he executes it really well to where you're not bored and you're still enthralled. Really, that's all I have to say about this movie. Everybody praises it, and for a good reason. It is not overrated, it's not underrated, it's perfectly rated. I would give this movie a solid 9 out of 10. I love it quite a lot, and I definitely think I will be returning to it as time goes on. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it or if you think it's overrated, underrated, all that stuff. I'm always down to talk. My socials are always down below in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I will see y'all next week with another video. I love you, and goodbye.